Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. Folks, I am absolutely vibrating with energy today because our guest is a true legend of comedy, a powerhouse of physical humour, and quite possibly the funniest man to ever grace the halls of Studio 8H. Please welcome the one and only Chris Farley. Chris, it is an honour. For those who may somehow not know who you are you?
Oh man, Calvin, thank you. It is so great to be here. I'm just a guy who loves to make people laugh until they cry. I'm an actor, a comedian, a proud alumnus of Saturday Night Live, and the guy who probably put a few too many holes in the drywall during my sketches. I'm just Chris.
I love it. Let's go back to the very beginning. When and where were you born?
I entered the world on February 15th, 1964, right in the heart of the Midwest, Madison, Wisconsin. On Wisconsin, right?
Born and bred. And what was your given name at birth?
Christopher Crosby Farley.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
Crosby was actually my mother's maiden name, Mary Ann Crosby. I always liked having that connection to her side of the family. It felt sturdy, you know?
Definitely. What was your hometown like growing up in Madison?
Oh, Madison was the best. It was all about the lakes, the snow, and lots of room to run around. It was a classic American childhood. Very outdoorsy, very friendly. Everyone knew everyone, especially in our neighborhood.
And what was your family life like with the Farleys?
It was loud. It was wonderful and chaotic. I had three brothers, Tom, Kevin, and John, and my sister Barb. My dad, Big Chris, owned an oil company, and he was my hero. We were a big Irish Catholic family, so there was a lot of faith, a lot of meat and potatoes, and a whole lot of laughing at the dinner table.
What kind of kid were you in that big mix?
I was the entertainer. I figured out pretty early that if I could make my brothers laugh, or even better, make my dad laugh, I was winning. I was a bit of a class clown, always looking for a physical gag to pull. I played sports too. I was a big guy, but I was fast.
Even the funniest kids have fears. What were your biggest fears growing up?
Honestly, not being liked. Or the room going quiet. Silence was a scary thing to me. If people weren't laughing or cheering, I worried I wasn't doing my job.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
I actually thought about being a football player for a while. I loved the energy of the game. But deep down, after seeing how people reacted to comedy, I just wanted to be like the guys I saw on TV making everyone happy.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
I loved theater and sports. In college at Marquette, I played rugby. Can you imagine that? Me on a rugby pitch? It was intense, but I loved the camaraderie.
I can see the agility now. What was your first job?
I worked for my dad at the Scotch Oil Company in Madison. I was out there doing the grunt work, learning the business. It taught me about hard work, but I think I spent more time trying to joke with the customers than actually filing papers.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
I think it was when I realized I could use my size as an asset rather than something to be shy about. I could do a cartwheel or a split, and people would lose their minds because they didn't expect a guy my size to move like that. That light bulb went off, and I realized, hey, this is my superpower.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Joining the Arc Improv Theater in Madison. It was just a local group, but that's where I really learned the craft. It led me to Chicago and Second City. If I hadn't walked into that first improv class, I'd probably still be selling oil.
What was your biggest break?
No question, Saturday Night Live. Getting that call in 1990 to join the cast with guys like Chris Rock and Adam Sandler, that was the golden ticket.
Before that massive success, what were your biggest struggles?
Just finding my voice. In the beginning, you're always worried you're just a type. I had to prove that I wasn't just a loud guy, but that there was a heart behind the characters.
Did you ever consider quitting?
There are nights in improv where you bomb so hard you want to crawl under the stage. But I loved the rush too much to ever actually quit. The laughter is addictive, Calvin.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel were essential to your success?
I was all about high energy. Before a show, I'd get myself paced up, maybe do some jumping jacks, or just get into a headspace where I was ready to give 110%. I didn't have a quiet mode when it was time to perform.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I probably would have stayed in the family business. I'd be Big Chris Jr., running the oil company and being the funniest guy at the local Rotary Club meetings.
What was your life like right before the fame hit?
I was in Chicago, performing at Second City. I was broke, eating cheap pizza and living for the 8 p.m. show every night. It was some of the most fun I ever had.
How did relationships change after the success?
It gets tricky. You want to stay close to your old friends, but suddenly you're traveling all the time. But my bad boys of SNL crew, Sandler, Spade, Rock, we became a family. We looked out for each other.
Did fame bring you happiness?
It brought a lot of joy because I got to make millions of people laugh. That's a heavy gift, you know? But it also comes with a lot of pressure to stay on all the time.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
The loss of privacy. And that feeling that you have to be the funny guy every time you walk into a restaurant or an airport. Sometimes you just want to eat a burger in peace, but you don't want to let the fans down.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
People thought I was always that wild, crashing through tables character in real life. I could actually be pretty shy and quiet when the cameras were off. I was a sensitive guy.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
That I was just doing quote-unquote fat jokes. To me, it was about the physicality and the commitment to the character. It wasn't about the weight. It was about the energy.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong. How did you handle it?
Oh, there were plenty of sketches on live TV where someone forgot a line or a prop broke. You just have to lean into it. If a set piece falls over, you make it part of the joke. You keep moving. Never let them see you sweat, unless it's part of the bit.
Did fame and fortune change your life?
It changed my surroundings, for sure. I could take care of my family, which meant the world to me. But inside, I was still the kid from Madison trying to make his dad proud.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My father, and professionally John Belushi. I saw what he did and thought, that's it, that's the path.
What was life like in your final years?
It was a whirlwind. I was making movies like Tommy Boy and Black Sheep, which I loved. I was working hard, maybe too hard, but I was having the time of my life on those sets with David Spade.
What were you working on career-wise right before you passed away?
I was actually the original voice for Shrek. I had recorded a huge chunk of the dialogue. It was a different take on the character, more like a young guy trying to find his way. I was also looking into more dramatic roles to show a different side of myself.
When and where did you pass away?
It was December 18th, 1997, in my apartment at the John Hancock Center in Chicago.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I was a very devout Catholic. I'd go to Mass regularly, and it was a huge part of my life that stayed pretty private.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
People used to say I'd eat entire menus at restaurants. I like to eat, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't quite the vacuum cleaner the tabloids made me out to be.
What was your most unique habit?
I used to have this habit of being extremely polite, lots of sir and ma'am. People expected me to be a brat because I was a star, but I always tried to be the most polite guy in the room.
What was your favorite food?
A good medium rare steak and maybe some hash browns, pure Wisconsin comfort food.
What was your favorite book?
I didn't talk about it much, but I liked things that dealt with the human spirit. I was always interested in people's stories.
Did you have any known rivalries?
Not really. I loved everyone in the comedy world. Maybe a friendly rivalry with Spade over who could get the most laughs in a scene, but it was all love.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
One time I went back to Marquette and just hung out with the students, totally unannounced. We just sat around, told jokes, and I acted like I was just another student again. I loved staying connected to where I came from.
What's your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
Shooting the van down by the river sketch for the first time. The cast was breaking character so hard because I kept moving the table and getting closer and closer to David Spade's face. Seeing him try not to laugh was the best reward.
Did you ever prank someone?
Oh, all the time on the SNL set, usually involving hiding in lockers or jumping out at people. I was a big fan of the classic jump scare.
What was the most outlandish purchase you made?
I bought a pretty fancy place in Chicago, but honestly, I wasn't a big stuff guy. I like spending money on experiences and helping out my friends and family.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Be kind, work harder than everyone else, and for heaven's sake, don't be afraid to look like an idiot. If you're worrying about looking cool, you'll never be funny.
Chris, this has been an absolute blast. Do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before we sign off?
Just that I hope everyone keeps laughing. Life is tough, but if you can find the funny in it, you're going to be okay. Thanks for letting me tell my story again, Calvin. You're a prince. Truly. God bless.
Thank you, Chris. What a legend. We've covered everything from Madison Rugby to living in a van down by the river. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.